We are having pizza tonight, so I'm excited. Alright, so I was redesigning my old Shulker box loader here for a couple of reasons. First off, I never did a tutorial for it, and I figured I should probably do that, because some people might be interested in this still, and it is a really good Shulker box unloader, which we do use in our own storage room on Minerva. But every once in a while, TNT would get in the system, and that's a mess I've cleaned up more times than I'd like to admit. So I designed a new way, a new system for that because I never I never quite liked the wiring for this. I never liked the fact that TNT got in there, and I always thought I could do better. And as it turns out, forcing me to move the comparator to the back using water, it got quite a bit smaller, as you can see by our templates over here. And those templates are because I'm going to finally do a tutorial on not one but both of these. So I'll put timestamps in the video of when those tutorials are, but for now let's demonstrate how this works, which is pretty straightforward. So if we just get like a few shulker boxes in here, the dark blue ones have lapis lazuli, whereas the light blue ones are completely empty. And both of these work with empty shulker boxes. That's a requirement I have because to me an empty shulker box is a possibility and it shouldn't break your system. A lot of systems simplify things by just detecting when the torch goes off and on based on the amount of items in the shulker box, but obviously, that will break it if an empty shulker box comes through. It'll just sit there and do nothing. However, in this case, it's actually empty. So when it's empty, it detects that with this torch back here, and that'll completely shut down the system. So you will have one shulker box just left there. But as you can see, all of the items went through completely fine, and all of these shulker boxes are empty. And the other design is exactly the same. So if I just demonstrate that right here, I didn't use a trap chest, but you'll see it just as well. It'll filter all the items. Now, the reason I have this extra hopper is I don't know why it's there. I mean, it shouldn't be necessary, but as you can see, the shulker boxes still make it over that hopper. This just puts it right back in the system. And you can see in this version, we actually have all of the shulker boxes getting filtered out by an unstackable filter. So that's going to cause some of those shulker boxes to come up here, but I can assure you that never happens. The reason I have it set up like this and not just off to the side, because as you can see, it kind of works, but the first shulker boxes always get picked up by that hopper, and then they end up down here, and I really don't understand why that is, but needless to say, I just have it like that. So let's kind of do a stress test. Let's throw in a bunch of these, throw in a few of these, and 8 pieces of TNT. Obviously, you know what's going to happen. So before, when I was testing this, more than once actually, TNT blew up this entire thing, because I had the water in the front. And it wasn't until a while that I realized the piston actually clears the water, so if the TNT blows up at just the right moment, it will destroy everything. But in this design, I move the water to the left, and that means the water just kind of pushes the TNT around, and the piston, this was kind of an accident, the piston, what I did intend, let's be candid here. The water was supposed to move the TNT into more water, and then that means the TNT would never be in this exact spot when it explodes, but as a result, the piston ended up pushing the TNT back into the water source, which I found out actually works better. So I'm pretty happy with this, and as you can see, of course, every single item made it into its corresponding spot. Now this is an unstackable items filter, meaning this will work with shulker boxes and regular items, but I'm going to take a guess here and assume that you guys don't want swords and armor in your item filter stream, so I think this is okay, at least for my purposes. I might rebuild this in our storage room. If this ever breaks on our world again, I'll build this. It is slightly less laggy because it uses far less redstone, far less everything, actually. I mean, just the clock is smaller, it's quicker, less dust, only uses 2 pieces this time, so it's slightly less laggy there. Less repeaters, less comparator, actually, nope, I think this one actually uses more comparators, but you see my point. So yeah, if you're interested in building these and you don't want to just use the world download or schematics provided in the description below, then let's get on with the tutorials. Alright, I'm using Schematica for this tutorial. If you don't know anything about Schematica and don't know how to get it, there's a link up here if you're on PC, down in the description if you're on mobile, to my complete guide on Schematica. You can learn how to install it, use it, and everything. And let's get started. So the materials list is right here. You can see everything you'll need for this build. Block of diamond can be any solid block. Stone, if you have an iron farm, iron blocks look pretty good. Quartz is a nice block, whatever you guys want. Any concrete. This is everything you'll need. So let's get started. So we're going to start right with the output. This you're going to want to have chests wherever you want them. It doesn't really super matter. I just place them here because this is kind of how I did it in the design directly across from me. On Minerva, we put this into a sorting system, so it's not even built exactly like this. It doesn't really matter, but you can easily just place the comparator off there, and then we'll start immediately with the blocks that it's facing into. So you can just place them like so, break them like that. This comparator reads from the observer or the dispenser above, so place a block there so that it can read, and then a torch, and then a repeater, and then let's replace this observer with dust. So that needs to be on 1 tick. And I guess it could be on any tick, but right away you're going to actually want to get your dispenser in place because that's going to be a little bit trickier if you wait later on. So just get that in there for now so that you don't have to worry about it. And then you might as well put in the piston back there. So moving on to the other side, these don't need to be slabs, so we're just going to ignore that, place them like so, grab our dust back and place it like that. Now we're actually going to want to bring this wiring up a little bit and then branch it off to do 2 different sections. This will turn off the torch back here, which will force it to turn off, which is why the clock doesn't continue cycling through shulker boxes, and then this will also trigger it when it needs to start up. So this piston will just give it a quick pulse on the rail here, and it'll also disable it at the same time. So it's pretty nice and convenient. We're going to want to place 2 blocks just like so, with a piston right over here. It's going to have a block on its face like that, and then a bunch of blocks back here just so we can get our clock in place. Now these 2 repeaters on 4 ticks doesn't need to be on 4 ticks. It can be a little bit faster, but you're going to have to tinker with that on your own because this is just a safe speed that I was able to get it functional at. Your mileage may vary. A little bit faster in some cases, and I found that it might not be 100% stable. So let's get our off switch back here, and we're just about done. That's pretty much it. We're going to need a little bit of glass just to keep all the shulker boxes and items in, but that's pretty much it. You can see if we throw in some lapis lazuli blocks, it should start cycling. We forgot one more thing. That torch. So that torch will actually initiate it whenever this dispenser is detected to have any items. So as soon as you start filling it up again, it'll start the clock. And just like that, it should start unloading the items. That's just because we were messing around. And it should be completely fine. Next, we're going to go to the other design. So we're going to start off right with the unloader, or the sorter here. So you're going to want to place items just like this, blocks just like so. This will be in reference to wherever you need to build it, so just kind of be careful that it's within this sort of 5x3 area. So let's get our output right here. We're going to want it just like that, 2 chests, just make it nice and clean, and then we'll chain all the hoppers behind it like that. And then you can see where the design will be in reference to your location. Piston facing like so. We're going to build the dispenser nice and close, just like we did on the other design. You want to build that nice and soon because it gets a little trickier to place that later on, and you might want to not have to do that later. So let's get the piston back here, blocks like so, and then a 3-tick repeater on that because this piston will not function too well if you don't have it like that. Going to want to have a block here just to place against the dispenser. Nope, that's an observer. And then you're going to want a repeater just like that. That way you can make a nice little clock if we place that. So you can see it'll start cycling just like so. And you don't want that to be cycling for long, so let's go and get all of our blocks in place. So we're going to need comparators on these back here, block here, torch here, and these comparators are both going to be leading into the same output, which is right there. And that'll shut it off whenever the dispenser is detected to be empty. And just like that, we should be almost completely done. And I can see that I screwed up just a little bit. I built everything a little bit too close. Not a big deal. All we have to do is just bring everything out 1 more block. I hate the way the chests connect. Okay, we can get it just like that. And then face it like so. And that should be all the same. And we can just move this wiring back here over 1. So a little bit of a mistake, not a big deal, totally fine. But to complete this, we're going to need to place a torch back here, a couple blocks, and a repeater facing into that so it doesn't grab all of our items. Now let's get a bunch of glass around here just so that we can see what's going on. Fill it in like so. We are going to need a water bucket just so that our TNT doesn't blow everything up. And then fill in the blanks just like that. Now let's give it a live test without seeing first. There you go. So when it starts filtering, it pops that piston up so that the clock doesn't keep going. And then as soon as it's done, it puts the piston back down, which actually triggers the clock once more time. And just like that, we are unloading shulker boxes. So, that's a little bit of a shaky tutorial for both sides. Made a few mistakes here and there, but I don't do this often. You guys can kind of see why I neglected it the first time. There will be a world download to this world in the description below. Link to the Schematica video in the description below. Link to both of these schematics within their corresponding world downloads, just so you guys can have everything all at once. Schematics aren't too big of a download. It shouldn't fill up your drives too much. Hope you guys enjoyed these tutorials. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. That's it. You should click on one of the videos in the outro that's about to roll right now.